Welcome, everyone, to the Sports Writers Podcast. There they are, the Sports Writers, Nick Kukuru, Nick Giannino, and Phil Stacy. I'm Bill Newell from MSO News Sports. We're recording this on Monday afternoon. Look how hot everybody looks on this podcast here. Nick, I know before we started, I dressed up what you're wearing there, but it looks like he's from the hospital. That's what I'm thinking. But he's made it for the podcast. But thank God. I hope
here, but yeah, we get the polka dots today.
Hope you make a full recovery from wearing that shirt. Okay. But who of us could really talk about fashion? Anyways, gentlemen, we're right in the middle of the doldrums of summer. Nick, I want to start with you, Nick Giannino, just to get a little golf update because there is some news happening in the last several weeks or ongoing throughout the summer. But what's the latest on some North Shore golf notes for us?
Yeah, well, we've been writing a lot about, or I should say I have, about the Emmerich brothers, Aiden and Christian, Swampscott kids. Both went to St. Mary's of Lynn. They're both just tearing it up this summer. Aiden seems to have really found the swing. He's the younger brother, 18 years old, headed to Michigan State next year. And back-to-back weeks, he had a nice performance in the U.S. Junior Amateur, making it to match play, winning his first match there before, bowing out, but still a nice run for him. There was over 300 golfers in that field, I believe, and he was one of 32 left standing. So pretty good stuff from him. And then the next week, played in the Massachusetts Junior Amateur and made it all the way to the finals. Won the stroke play over the first 2 days, 7 under par, 67 and a 66, and then advanced all the way to the finals where he took an early lead on eventual winner John Broderick before Broderick kind of caught fire and took that championship match. But huge couple weeks for him nonetheless. Again, like I said, he's going to Michigan State in the fall, so it seems like his game is really shaping. And then his older brother, I should say, Christian, is going to be competing in the U.S. Amateur next week. I believe that's in is that in Pennsylvania or New Jersey? Let me check here. Yeah, New Jersey. Couple different courses in New Jersey. That's another really, prestigious amateur tournament, the most prestigious probably in the country. It's been going on for quite a long time now. And again, huge field in that one. You got to, work your way through stroke play and try to qualify for the match play portion, which is one and done, individual matchups. They have a bracket and play however many holes each day to try and get to the final. So we'll see how Christian does there. He's going to be finishing up his collegiate career next year at Holy Cross, or this fall. So really good summer for both of them. And then we just had a story by Kyle Gaudet of the Newburyport News with our good friend Chris Franco, who played at St. John's Prep. I covered him a lot during his high school days, and even after high school, he really tore up the amateur circuit these past couple summers. And he's going to be trying his hand at going pro. He's going to be going to the Korn Ferry Tour, which is just a step down from the PGA. Players that do well enough on the Korn Ferry will get their tour card. So he's starting the process of trying to become pro. It's a long, really grueling test. He's going to have to get through a lot of different qualifiers just to even make it onto the Korn Ferry Tour. But yeah, he's, again, like I said, been playing some really good golf. And, just had a great year at Louisville to wrap up his college career with a post-grad year at Louisville after 4 years at URI. So we'll see how Frank Core can do on the Ferry Tour if he can get there. But the qualifying, I believe, starts in the fall, so a couple months away.
Wow, comprehensive stuff there. Nick Kukuru, how about an update? The Intertown League Baseball finals are underway now, right? The championship series as we record this on Monday.
Semifinals just started over the weekend. Yeah, all the league's local, so obviously there'll be 4 local teams left in that one. But we got the Rockport Townies and the Hamilton Generals on one side, and the Manchester Mariners and the Raleigh Rams on the other. And it was the Mariners and the Generals that took game 1 yesterday. So I'll be actually at Manchester versus Raleigh this afternoon. Manchester can clinch a spot with a win, but Raleigh was the 1 seed, so we'll see. Rusty Tucker obviously pitched game 1. He shut him down as he usually does. And I don't know who they'll throw in game 2, possibly Vaughn O'Leary, maybe, who was the hero for the Manchester Essex high school team. We could see him tonight on the mound for the Mariners against the Rams. So that's a big one. I think the winner of the Manchester-Raleigh series, whether it's been in the finals or the series before the finals, has won something like 7 of the last 8 championships, something like that. 7 of the last 9. Rockport won back-to-back a couple of years. Then the other on the other side of the bracket, Hamilton's off to a good start. They can clinch their spot tomorrow night in Rockport with a win. And if both series get to it, they play game 3 on Wednesday night. So, yeah, I mean, 1 game in for each squad, and far from settled.
How old is Rusty Tucker now, anyway?
He's in his early 40s. I want to say 42, 41, 42.
And he still brings it pretty good, huh?
Yeah, he does. He can still hit 90. I will say.
Really?
So, nobody else in that league can really bring that. And
I was going to say, I can't imagine there's anybody else in the league hitting 90.
Yeah, so I mean, he throws. There's a few hitters. I know that the Justin Bola from Rowley. He's had some. He's one of the few guys in the league that looks like he gets up there and he belongs. Kind of hitting against him. Is he okay? Yeah, he's probably the best hitter in the league. So, and we'll see, because Hamilton probably has the best lineup in the league. I know Rockport is playing them right now. Manchester beat Hamilton in the finals last year, but I thought Hamilton, from what I've seen, has the deepest lineup in the league when their full squad's there. So that's always the question this time of year with that league too. So we'll see how it shakes out. I think it's anybody's game.
And they haven't won a title in what? There's like 41 years or something.
Yeah, the 90s. I was looking the other day. I think 1992. I think was the last time.
So 30
which
years.
Is weird because they're in the mix every year. It seems like they're one of the final 4 teams every year. I can't remember the last time they weren't in the playoffs.
We'll have to spend some time on the North Shore Baseball League at some point. We won't spring that on you, Phil, right now, but let's jump. Phil, is any other
I do know. I mean, I can tell you that, to point out to what Nick said, this will be out on Tuesday, so there'll be results from Monday night by the time people hear this. But North Shore Phillies, they finished the league in first place this year. They have a 2-0 series lead on the Beverly Rex. It's been 2 really close games. I think the Rex were up 4-0 in game 1. The Phillies came back and won 5-4, and then the Phillies won 5-3 in Beverly in game 2. They were scheduled to play game 3 of the best 3 out of 5 on Monday night. Champions Pub and the Northeast Tides are in the other semifinal, and I believe that's 2-1 Pub as we stand right now. So Pub also has an edge there. I want to double check and be sure, but I think it's 2-1 Pub right now.
All right. And back up to Nick Kukuru for a moment. You've spent last week checking out some camps and working on your skills for a variety of different sports, I understand.
Well, yeah, the slow time. These these youth coaches, these high school coaches kind of run their youth camps in the summer. They help me out a ton during the high school season. So I don't mind, throwing them a bone and taking some photos of their youth camps, because they're an essential I don't know, they're basically coworkers to me, with the amount that we deal with them. And, they're always, the local coaches are always there to help us out. So we'll, I'll throw them a bone in the summertime, get Lauren Riley's field hockey camp. Armando Manotto runs an excellent summer long youth soccer camp around, Gloucester. And, good opportunities for the youngsters to get their reps in.
Phil, do you guys and Nick Kukuru, not so much Nick Giannino, do you guys want to talk about the Bruins and some news with the Bruins this week?
Yeah, Cooks, you want to go first, and I can.
Oh, okay. You're the Bruins guy. I mean, I have my opinions, but.
Well, yeah. All right. Let me hear what you think. I mean, the Bruins signed Patrice Bergeron to a 1-year team-friendly deal Monday. They bring back David Krejci on a 1-year, $1 million deal. They signed the newcomer, Pavel Zacha, that they signed, I should say, from New Jersey. They got him locked up on a 1-year, $3.5 million deal. What are your thoughts there?
I mean, I don't have a problem with any of it. I just feel like the team's just kind of treading water. I just feel like it's, the front office trying to stay relevant an extra year. But I just feel like a rebuild's coming with the Bruins. It kind of has to. And I feel like they're just kind of putting it off as long as they can. I think the Bruins will be good. What are we looking at? Second round of the playoffs again? It's usually when they, the last 2 or 3 years, they've gotten kind of worn down by the second round by more physical teams. And they still look like that kind of team.
Yeah. I think I agree with you to a point. I mean, I wrote something that you can read online today about it. What's concerning to me is the fact that you're putting an awful lot of trust in 2 guys who are combined 73 years old to be your top 2 centers here. And it's not unprecedented. I mean, if you look at Pittsburgh, Crosby and Malkin are 71, but most of the teams that the Bruins are chasing, the Lightning, the Panthers, the Rangers, the Hurricanes, the Maple Leafs, they all have either 2 young guys in that spot or like Toronto, a veteran in Tavares and a younger guy in Austin Matthews. So it's asking a lot for those 2 guys to stay healthy and viable throughout the season. And that's not, we know that Brad Marchand's not going to start the season on time. We know Charlie McAvoy's not going to start the season on time. We know Matt Grzelcyk's not going to start the season on time. So treading water might be a phrase, Kooks, that we do use, not just for this year, but in that first few months of the season. They can't fall so far behind the pack that it's tough for them to come back and work themselves into playoff contention. Are they better today than they were on Sunday? Yeah, they are. But it does feel like, going back to the same old. I mean, it's not 2011 anymore. It's more than a decade past that. And to hope that
not even 2019 anymore.
Right. And to hope that these guys are going to keep churning out the greatest hits. I mean, hey, granted, Bergeron is coming off of a terrific season, won another Selke Award, best defensive forward. He has great chemistry with Marchand when Marchand's healthy, and Jake DeBrusk worked well as a right wing there. I think fans remember that the Taylor Hall and David Pastrnak with Krejci worked really, really well when they traded for Hall in April of 2021, the short time those 3 guys were together. So who knows? Maybe they could make beautiful music together, as the saying goes. But it does seem like they're a 3rd, 4th place team in their division and a first, maybe second round playoff appearance, which I suppose is better than being out of the playoffs. But how much better is it? I don't know.
Following up on your music theme, Phil, if the Bruins could orchestrate some kind of a deal, what is it that what do they need the most? What would really spark them in both of your eyes and also Nick's eyes up there?
I wouldn't even. What do they need? Trade. They need to re-sign Pastrnak. He's in the final year of his 6-year deal that he signed in September 2017 for $40 million. He's going to command $10 million plus. Based on what he's done in the league and what other guys of comparable talent have signed for. They just signed Charlie McAvoy. I shouldn't say just, but have recently signed Charlie McAvoy to a $9 million a year. So that's going to have to top that. 40-goal scorers don't grow on trees in the NHL. It's more prevalent than it used to be, but it's still a valuable commodity. And he is if he's not the future captain of this team, he certainly is. He would be 1B to McAvoy's 1A, and they need him. So that would be, if they were to trade for somebody, I would say, where you have McAvoy and Lindholm as a top D pairing, you seem to be setting goal for the time being. Another scorer would never hurt. If they could move DeBrusk and a prospect for another bona fide scorer, that would work. But again, today's moves put them over the salary cap. They're going to have to put Marchand or McAvoy on long-term injured reserve so they get a little bit of cap freedom there until those guys are back and healthy. Then they'll have to do something, whether it's trading Mike Riley or getting rid of some dead weight down the bottom. If anyone would take Nick Foligno's contract, things like that. So I think their hands are a little bit tied, which is probably why they got these team-friendly deals from Krejci and Bergeron to work within the framework of the cap. That's my thoughts. Anyone else?
They need a little more physicality. I don't know. I feel like the last few times they've lost, they've kept up with the except for last year with Carolina, but they've kept up, even Tampa, they keep up with them skill wise. They just get worn down physically. I'd like a couple more Brandon Carlos on the back line. I know he kind of didn't have a great year last year, but he's usually good, and a couple more guys like him, big stay-at-home defensemen, or, even those big, the second, third, fourth line forwards that can just, not make mistakes and go out there and, take care of the puck and be physical. I feel like they need guys like that.
I feel like they tried that with guys like Andre Kasha and Nick Ritchie and even Foligno or Trent Frederick. I mean, Frederick's just simply not big enough and not skilled enough to play in the NHL every night. But it's funny. I mean, the league is getting away from that, but in the playoffs, you do need those guys. You need those big bruises to offset those speedy, skilled guys to make things happen. So. Finding them, addressing that need, and then going out and finding them is another matter entirely, I guess.
All right, I'm going to shift to the other winter sport, if you will. Nick Giannino, Celtics with a local signing, I understand.
Yeah, last week they picked up Noah Vonleh from Haverhill, 26 years old. I can't remember the exact draft class he was, but he was a lottery pick. People had high hopes for him. He was one and done at Indiana, and never really panned out. He had some decent years rebounding the ball, but I guess he left a little bit to be desired on the offensive end. And he went over to China, had a pretty good year with the Shanghai Sharks last year. He's a big guy, 6'10". Don't know his exact weight, but he's got to be up there close to 250. He's really strong. Again, can rebound the ball well. He's athletic. He's gotten a lot better with his three ball, which in today's day and game, the three is a big value piece, especially for big guys like that. So we'll see how Vonleh pans out in training camp. He's going to be fighting for a roster spot. They did sign him to a 1-year deal, but doesn't look like it's all that guaranteed. And they got a couple other guys that will be competing for spots too. So it's interesting with the Celtics. They're kind of going in with their top 8, top 9 core, and then kind of like an open tryout for the rest of the guys to fill in the rest of those roster spots. So Vonleh will be fighting for a spot with a guy like Bruno Caboclo, who they picked up as well, another young center, bounced around the league a little bit. Luke Cornett, who they just brought up from the G League team, full-time for them. So guys like that, we'll see, again, what happens in training camp. It's going to be very interesting to see how they fill out some of these roster spots, because their top, like I said, 8 or 9 is pretty set in stone. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. And fun fact about Noah Vonleh, my high school team, Pentucket, actually played them when he was a freshman. I was a junior, and we went down to their place. He had played 1 season at Haverhill High before transferring to private school, but he had a tip slam dunk over me in the high school game, and we ended up getting the last laugh. We beat Haverhill, but he did dunk on me, so that's a story I can always tell. Noah Vonleh, now in the NBA, threw down on me. And I remember my coach called the timeout, looked at me, and he said, "I can't even get mad at you. You had him boxed out." He just jumped right over my back. So me and another kid on the team as well. I wasn't alone, but yeah, he's a freak athlete, and he's only gotten bigger and stronger since then. So it'd be nice to see a local guy maybe find a spot on the roster here with the Celtics.
He sounds like somebody Nick Kukaru, the Bruins, could use, to be quite honest, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So there's the Celtics. There are the Bruins. In our final few minutes, or whatever time we have left, we have a few minutes left. Anything else you guys want to share with us? Is it too early for me to mention high school football? Phil, I know you did a column the other day on high school football, the first high school football column. I think the only football column I've seen around here, high school football column. So, and you guys can chime in on stuff you're hearing or buzz you're hearing. I know the practices will begin probably just another week or so, I'm thinking, right? Is it 2 weeks? 1 week?
I think it's like a week and a half.
Friday.
Yeah. Okay.
19th.
Yeah. That's what I was. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my thought is maybe, we had the pandemic year in the spring, and that was followed up by going right at it again in the fall. This is the first time in 3 years we're back on a quote unquote normal cycle, where everyone's had, 8-9 months to, prepare and lift and do all those things you do to get ready for the start of the season. I think everybody, they're caught up in terms of, underclassmen getting their reps and the upperclassmen, being in a spot to lead where they should be, as opposed to it feeling a little bit rushed the last maybe 2 seasons. So I'm interested to see. I mean, there's all kinds of questions I feel like around here. We're blessed with a lot of good teams. The Swampscott have enough to win its 3rd straight Super Bowl. They're going to be a little bit down. How about Marblehead? Can they go back to back? Can they win another conference title? How long will their winning streak go? It's at 20 right now, best in the state. What does Janelle Aguero coming back to St. John's Prep mean? I mean, you got a kid who's going to Division I Georgia. Had the top schools in the country recruiting him. A team's going to throw at him much, where he's a defensive back. Teams are going to have to throw against St. John's, but are they going to, avoid his way, the way that teams a generation ago avoided Jim Eunice at Gloucester, ran the other way from him when he was on the defensive line? Is it going to be one of those situations? How often do they use him on offense? Who plays quarterback? How much does Carson Brown get the ball offensively? How often do they get the ball out to their receivers, Jesse O'Fury and Stephon Patrick? What about Danvers switching up its offense? What does Beverly do after graduating a couple of key running backs? Does Salem keep it going after having a winning season last year and playing a little more competition that they're suited to? Can Ipswich bounce back? What happens with Fenwick? Does Pingree go undefeated again? I mean, on and on and on. There's all these stories going into the year, which I think makes it fascinating. And Kooks, I'm not even touching upon Cape Ann, but, do we see improvement from Gloucester? What's going on there?
Hey, Kooks, before you answer, Phil, we're looking for some answers, not a whole string of questions from you here.
Got the answers yet.
In the first week and a half of August, I don't have too many answers at this point.
No, that tees us up for future podcasts. That was great, Phil. I'm just kidding you. All right, Nick, I'm sorry.
Well, I'd say Gloucester's an interesting case. I mean, I think we should see an uptick in the win column this year just because of their schedule. They've kind of gone the similar route to Salem, where Danvers is the only NEC crossover game they have on Thanksgiving. So, no Beverly for the first time in about 110 years. No Swampscott, who they've been playing off and on really recently. No Marblehead, who they've also been playing off and on recently. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, they got Weston, they got Chelsea on the schedule, they got Northeast Tech, and Hamilton Wenham as their 4 out-of-conference games.
Who they opened up with last year, right?
Hamilton. Yeah, and it was a good game. It was 13-7 game. It was a good game. So we'll see this year. I mean, the way I look at their schedule, I'd be surprised if they beat Peabody. I'd be shocked if they beat Peabody. I'd be absolutely shocked. I'd be surprised if they beat Winthrop. You could probably flip a coin with Hamilton Wenham, and I think they should win the other 5. No excuses, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. There are going to be some tough ones in there. I know Salem beat them last year. They're going to want revenge on that one. That was Salem's first win over them since 1999, when I was a sophomore in high school, sitting on the sidelines for that game.
I will say, though, I think Salem has some athletes coming back.
Mm-hmm.
They graduated some seniors, but they had a lot of what I thought were skilled underclassmen coming. I think right away of Rocco Ryan, the freshman who started both ways for them last year. I thought he got much better over the course of the season. They have the junior quarterback coming back. I think they have some guys in the line. So I don't know that I would say it's a gimme.
No games are a gimme for them. Let's be totally honest.
And I hear that Saugus has improved too. I mean, again, It's August, who knows, right? But I hear Saugus could. Again, I don't see them beating Peabody. I think it's Peabody's to win, with Winthrop probably a pretty clear second. But I think the other 3 teams in that league could all be kind of scrambling to beat each other, as well as, like you said, those non-league games that they're playing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to sound harsh here, but I don't think Gloucester's really in a state where they can pencil in a win against anybody. They have to show up against. They have to show up against everybody. I mean, if you want to make strides, those are the games. If they want to make strides, they got to win at least 5 in the regular season this year with that schedule, in my opinion.
And did you say that they're playing Chelsea this year?
Chelsea, yeah, week 2 they're playing Chelsea.
Okay, so Salem and so Chelsea, the Mighty Red Devils, are opening up with Salem and Gloucester back to back.
Come full circle. The first football game I've ever covered for the Gloucester Times was Manchester Essex at Chelsea, and Manchester Essex stopped a 2-point conversion for Chelsea going for the 2 and the win, and they stopped it. So now I would have never thought 15 years later Gloucester would be playing them in a non-league tilt, but here we are.
All right, now there's a good question for you, Bill and Nino. Who was the first high school football game you ever covered? Bill, go back on the time machine with us. Take us there.
On the North Shore?
Yeah.
I'm going to guess because I'm going to guess it was Beverly Everett, either at Beverly or at Everett, the non-league opener. I unless there was a Friday night game before those were all Saturday games.
Yeah, there weren't too many Friday night games.
There weren't too many.
If you're talking a handful. Like late 70s, early 80s. No.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that it very well could have been the Beverly Everett game. Yeah. And speaking, let me just pick up before you follow up with that. What Nick Kukuru is mentioning is Beverly not playing Gloucester. I learned early on that, although Beverly played Salem and still plays them on Thanksgiving as a Thanksgiving rivalry, in town, the people in Beverly and in Gloucester always looked at the Beverly Gloucester game as their big game of the year, to be quite honest with you. I believe, that's what the old timers would tell you.
How much of last year's game result do you think factored into that, Nick?
The year before too, I want to say they kind of lost by 80 plus to nothing the last 2 times they played. And I mean, if we're being honest, that 50-0 game last year, Beverly called off the dogs and let their foot off the gas.
In the second quarter.
Yeah, very early. So, I mean, they're clearly not on the same level anymore. Gloucester is, does not have the numbers. They don't have the depth to compete with them anymore. I mean, that's just it's a tough fact, but it's a fact.
Yeah.
Nino, do you remember your first game football? I do. It was actually for the Daily News. Dan Harrison was running the show over there, and he sent me over to Georgetown. I think they were playing Greater Lawrence, I want to say. And I'll never forget it because I went in, I had never covered a football game before. And nowadays I use a notebook and I write down all the plays to keep the stats that way. But I decided to do it on my phone in the Notes app and accidentally deleted it about halfway through the game. So I lost all the first half stats, and I had to break that news to Dan. Dan on deadline too, and it wasn't pretty. So that was tough. But I got right back up on the horse, did another game the next week, and figured it out. But yeah, I'll never forget that. That was stressful.
Another Nick Giannino getting dunked story right there. There you go.
Yeah. I see some younger guys keeping football stats on their phone, and I'm like, I don't trust that.
No, it worked. Like I said, it worked for the first half, and then once I lost the file, oh man, I was panicking. I didn't have any stats, and
me and my fat thumbs, I don't trust, especially when the weather gets bad.
Yeah.
If you're interested, Ipswich against, I want to say Hopkinton, September 1990 was my first game, and I was a newbie, first assignment for the Salem News, believe it or not. And I was like, okay, I can't go in there and it can't be all, flowers and sunshine. I got to tell the hard truth, and they lost. And I was like, oh, they didn't play well and this and that, and the other thing. And I think they were actually impressed that I, took that angle on it. And I think, it worked out all right. And I didn't have to write too many of those about Ipswich over the years, that's for sure. Ipswich won a ton of games when I was covering them in the 90s. But yeah, that was the first one. I want to say it was Hopkinton. Yeah.
The Hopkinton Daily wanted to hire you after that story, I think.
Probably. Yeah, I didn't see me making that commute from Beverly,
And Nick Kukuru, you told your story, did you? Yeah.
Yeah, Manchester Essex at Chelsea.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you sit in the Carrie Schumann press box there?
I did. Yeah, I think I might have moved down to the sidelines at halftime, though. That was where former Manchester Essex coach Mike Athanas was excellent to watch on the sidelines. He was very animated. I used to like that view when covering Manchester Essex.
I'll take the – go ahead, Phil. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, I like to be on the sidelines during games. I feel like you get, a real sense of what's going on. And a lot of the coaches are great about letting you down there and whatnot. But sometimes, you do get the better view up top. And sometimes, the weather or whatever may dictate that you have to be up there. Very, very, very few complaints about the job, but one that I've always had, it's called a press box, which means it is for the press. And when there is not seats for the press, I get agitated. I don't care that you're the scorekeeper's, buddy, or you're bringing everybody hot dogs at halftime, so you get the seat, or you're an advanced scout. I don't care. It's a press box. It's not an advanced seat box. It's a press box.
Bill, we're on that note, on that harsh, hard-hitting note, we're going to stop because we are on the deadline here.
That's where we need the rip of the week.
We got to go. Gentlemen, thank you, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks.